Vishnu, in your final message to Earth, would you care to address the entire Brotherhood together at their home?
It would be so, or if it is possible, and as we look within the confines of the vibration, to address the world at large through all the medias that are within the world condition.
Vishnu, was there a spiritual reason for the loss of Luke Faust's motorcycle?
There was a need to give a fuller meaning or depth to that which was not understood in a karmic way.
Vishnu, I'd like to ask you what expression I should follow to develop myself in the future.
To not allow the fear of doubt or the environmental factors of others to invade your need for full thought expression. The only way that you as a spirit can come into your mental focus is to give completely to yourself and not allow the expressions of others around you to give you a feeling of uncertainty that thus defeats the very purpose into which you find your life.
Vishnu, could you speak to me about my guide Cornelius and my lecture material?
The Master Cornelius is the one that is operating in and through you. It is the inspirational moment when you feel the full presence of the Master and know that within that which you are giving outward is coming into a moment when you will have even a deeper expression or meaning to your life, whereby you can see where it is going to be a fullness of that which you wanted to express long ago. For you have looked ever deeply beyond the birth of this life and have seen of the fullness of your life in the fires of a fuller understanding. And it is the Master Cornelius that is within and has operated through the man called Socrates, and who has also stood with his colleagues that understood the full philosophy of life. It is now your purpose not to deny yourself the fuller meaning of what you want for an attainment, but rather to serve mankind in the full capacity of your life. You are like a fountain to the world and are only defeated by those that feel or exemplify a rejection to you that hurts the spirit and hinders the flow of your full being.
Thank you. Lately I have had feelings regarding the past incarnations of other people and thought communication with some of my teacher's guides. Are these feelings a prelude to my future ability to give readings and interpret auras?
They are within the seeing or the fuller meaning of your life's expression. For it is at a moment when you as a priestess can look back and see the flames of life that burned within a cup of love, and thus gives fuller magnitude to your very thought condition.
I have run into a lot of negativity at college while I'm trying to aid friends to spiritual understanding. Do you have any advice for my work there?
Only to continue within the positive flow of your being. For it is like hate and love that are so kindred to one another, that the moment of negativity is kindred to the positive vibration. And gradually you will find this will come into a full positive nature, and more will be expressed than you realize at the present time.
Would you say something about the spiritual expression of dance?
It is the full expression of not allowing a fullness of your life to be hindered by the completion of this vibration. It is rather to give a fullness to all of that which is within your environment, and to be a full, free expression of all spirit, and to do the fullness of that which you know is within yourself, and yet because of its magnitude have a feeling of doubt or guilt.
Thank you.
Vishnu, would you speak to me about the soulmate who I've met?
There is a positive vibration, a fullness of the vibration of love, and a spiritual oneness that will gradually overcome you and bring you into a fullness, and thus give you more of a vision of the fullness of the expression that you wish to give to your life.
Vishnu, can you tell me why I have such a difficulty maintaining the balance I desire?
For you look too deeply within the material conditions of life, rather than to reside within the fullness of your spirit. And here again, I advise that you look within the mental focus of beauty, and to immerse yourself in it so completely that nothing of an alien nature can contact your spirit and thus defeat your present growth.
Vishnu, at times I feel a strong sense of vibration about myself. I was wondering how I could channel that in a positive direction.
By giving a fuller expression to the meaning of what you are doing within the material life. For it is not a full devotion of your purpose to serve in a material way, but rather one in a spiritual way. Now you find that you're not giving your fullness to the devotion of your duty to a material life. It is only to give that devotion and yet look beyond it ever deeply within the beauty of your spirit, and with each moment realize the full growth of your being. For it shall be so, and you will come into a new vibration within a very short period of time.
Vishnu, what is the expression I should take for my further growth?
To give freely of that which is now upon you, for you will begin to see an overpowering influence of spirit that will bring you into a oneness that you long for and yet not understand. It is not to look ahead upon the why or the wherefore of your existence, but rather to come within the fullness of it and there realize that to give full meaning, fuller expression, and full beauty of your own spirit, then you will grow more rapidly. For you look upon yourself not in the fullness of your glory, but rather in what you feel the rejection of your spirit.
Vishnu, why is it that I feel so inferior?
For this is only a past incarnation of your lifetimes, where you have constantly been paying that debt of spirit, when you have always been in the past a cruel and selfish person, and thus in this one trying to attain a beauty or a love, have been defeated by the constant guilt complexes that come into your spirit. It is now a moment when that debt has been paid fully within the vibration, and not to allow it to come into your spirit, but rather have a fuller meaning of expression and of goodness, and then you will reach the tranquility which you seek. You are constantly within a vibratory rating of an unfilled desire to express, and the more the expression comes upon you, give it a fuller meaning, and discipline within a mental focus the feeling of the beauty of which I have spoken, and this will give you the freedom of movement that you desire.
Vishnu, could you speak on patience?
Patience is that word that means the full balance of all growth. It is to look ever deeper within the bowel of the earth of your body, within the full structure of your spirit, and to speak within a full authority of the I am a positive vibration, and thus seek the meaning of patience through the law of full balance.
Vishnu, when a master reincarnates, does he have to win back his powers by gradual development?
It must be so if there has not been a fullness or completion of the past karmas or debts that must be paid. For no karma is fixed from one life to another, or can be paid in any progression that is pleasing to that person who is seeking the law of perfection.
Vishnu, you spoke of the entity Aman. Is he now with us in the body?
He is not within the body, but is rather vibrating upon the spheres of light that are needed for the progression of all spiritual law.
Vishnu, I've had the very strong feeling that somehow Elwood Babbitt and I together represent something of an eternal character. What does this mean?
It is beyond the fullness of your comprehension, where both of you are upon a fullness of opening a wider horizon to the spirituality of man. It is not to question so much the future of where you are going, but rather to know that the channels or vibrations are a complete accord, where you can change or shift the energy of the world, and thus bring about a full completion of peace and profound happiness. It is so even within the brotherhood, and shall exemplify it even more as the angels or the angelic forces come in and invade your spirits and give you the fuller meaning of your work.
Vishnu, what is the spiritual purpose I'm supposed to fulfill in the material work I do?
The material work is only the expression of karma. For there has been many times when you will find, if you but gaze within your spirit, that you were the inventor of the first rock-throwing machine within the Roman Empire. You were the one that was the mechanic to all the weaponry that was ever used in this time. For you are one who is curious as to how a thing may work, or what makes it work. And now you in your impatience want to see how the things of spirit work. And thus it shall be so that as you gaze ever deeper within this past lifetime, associated with the present, thus you will come into a fuller understanding with your spirit.
Vishnu, was the last speaker Archimedes? The last speaker, was he the entity of Archimedes of Syracuse?
It was the one and the same. And now both are in the light of the Spirit that is in the fullness of all endeavor to give a better understanding to all vibration.
Vishnu, why is it that I can maintain a certain level of commitment, a certain energy level, but yet at times be totally unaware of how I actually do it?
For it is not a question of how you do it, it is giving a fuller meaning, and this is included within all of you that I speak with this time. It is to look within and give a full mental focus to all of the beauties of nature, and to the beauty of your spirit, and the full appreciation of your physical temple. For the more you appreciate the body and its mechanism, the more fuller you become within a healing source. and the more fuller you give expression to the Spirit. And this is not a rejection of you in the vibration, but rather that in looking within your past life, it has been a constant defeat to teach and to show a fuller meaning of life that has not been fulfilled up until this lifetime, where you will see a fuller meaning. Not to feel that you are inadequate, but that you are in the fullness of Spirit, and thus in that expression you will find the door will open and you shall see.
Vishnu, I've had a great desire to play music in this lifetime. Can you tell me if it will serve me?
It will serve you in a very good way. It will serve the Spirit, for it is not to become one that is famous as the musician, but rather the notes upon which you play the music, play upon the strings of the Spirit, and thus through that media you find you have growth. You were one that always in many lifetimes were very well known as a harpist, and you will find that the strange sound or vibrational pull of the strings of this instrument are as kindred to you as the very life in which you live.
Vishnu, could you help me understand the balance I am seeking?
It shall come unto a very strong way with your spirit, for I can see the anguish of your spirit, yet the fullness of the expression you want to give, but feel a lack of full communication. But it is overcome by giving the fullest of yourself to those that are of the mankind. For it is your way now to express, to empty your cup of love and give it a chance to become even fuller.
Vishnu, I was meditating the other day, and I felt as if I was communicating with nature. Will this communication increase and become fuller?
It will become fuller and expand you out into vibration. And be prepared that when the doorway opens or the vibration becomes higher in the frequency, then give and walk into the light of nature, for here is the answer to your desire.
Vishnu, I would like to know why I incarnated in the conditions I did, and why at an early age I changed my name to Toby.
For this was the expression when you were called upon within a Roman Empire the name of Tobias, and also the name of Tobit was the name that you went by in this previous lifetime. Tobias is the symbol of the fullness of your expression within the Spirit, and you are but to look it up within the history of the world. And there you will find your name, Tobias, as bold as the Spirit that is within your way.
Vishnu, am I doing all that I can to fulfill my purpose?
It is the fullness of your giving that is needed at this time, to go into the very nature force, and there give your spirit more fuller meaning, more beauty, and not allow the negative conditions or the material ways to hinder your progress. And you will find that the desire that you placed upon spirit years ago is having its fulfillment now.
Vishnu, why do I feel a difficulty expressing the love I feel?
For you are too intense in your purpose to try to overcome the person that you are speaking to or with. And it is only to give more relaxation to your spirit and to come on to people in a quiet but loving way. Not so much in the words, but in your spirit. Come on in the thought force. And there you will find there will come a balance. For to speak is a defeat for you right at this time. And it is to only give an intensification of your thought force that will give you more of an understanding of the love needed.
Vishnu, can you say anything about the theft of my photographic equipment?
It is and shall be returned to you. And it is not a question of where it is or what happened to it. However, it is not very far removed from your present place of living, and you will find gradually it shall be returned, and I advise that no questions be asked.
Vishnu, could you say something about my desire to have children?
There will be a fuller meaning or expression to your giving of a creative life. However, it is to give a fullness to that thought and to increase your creativity more than it is at the present time. And then that fulfillment will come about, but it is not the right time or the right vibration at this time.
Vishnu, could you help me understand why I've been so confused about the physical?
For there has not been a full meaning of life for you as yet, but this will come into a fuller meaning, and then you will be able to see how the physical relates to your spirit, and thus not feel any defeat whatsoever. It is to guard against your impatient way of wanting to grow ahead of the vibration rather than to relax within the spirit and allow it to grow in its fullness.
Vishnu, the other day I had a strong feeling that I've been a friend of Solomon. Is this true?
This is the strand of your past lifetime, and you will find that within a few days of Earth, you will even have a greater expression to it.
I see. Vishnu, am I the entity of Orpheus?
You are the entity of many vibrations, and little comprehend nor realize what the fullness of your spirit is. However, it is the purpose of all force to give you the revelation where through fitting all lifetimes in a fullness of purpose, then you come into the understanding of your mission and purpose through what I have termed a mental focus.
Vishnu, would you comment on the purpose and sharing my meditations?
It is the moment when you give a fullness to all the expression that you want to give, and you will find that within the meditations an increase of power will be there for you. But it is not to find a defeat within any or within yourself, but rather come into the beauty of your life and there give it a fuller expression.
Vishnu, how can I come into a greater understanding of myself?
By giving of yourself the fullness of your spirit, and to give to others the full need that you have within you, and to express freely to those that you speak to. For it is through this purpose that you will grow into a fuller understanding of your life.
Vishnu, could you speak to me about my own balance?
The balance that is within you is not unbalanced, but rather you defeat your own balance by the negative thought of feeling that you are unbalanced. It is more to use and express the I am positive of life, and thus there will be a change within the frequency.
Why do I so many times doubt my own actions?
For you cannot see the outcome of your action, and thus this is the defeat that lies within yourself.
What form should my artistic expression take?
The fullness of your spirit, by going beyond the visual organ of sight into the spiritual sight, where you will get a fuller meaning of pictures that you will be able to transform before the world and thus give more of an expression to the spirit.
Vishnu, could you tell me my relationship to my mother in the Roman incarnation?
There was a fullness again of history where there was the mother and daughter force, yet did not operate within the fullness of that time, but rather the same relationship that exists today was in that time. And you will find that in speaking of this to one another, you will have a revelation of how you closely vibrate within this spiritual force.
Vishnu, it seems as though almost everyone I encounter has a tremendous feeling of guilt or unworthiness. And I was wondering where this stems from and why it is so widespread in everyone today.
For each is constantly a receiver for the negative or positive vibration. And within the present force of the world, all negativity is constantly working backward and forward within the thought force of each person, and thus defeating themselves, for they do not declare themselves in full principle, and thus find themselves vacillating between one vibration and another, rather than to come forward in the full positive expression of their life.
Vishnu, could you give my sister and I understanding of our karmic relationship and help as far as coming into a oneness?
There shall never be a fullness of expression within yourselves, for each is on a different vibration or frequency. However, you can come into where each can see where there is an opposite pole or polarity of purpose, for it is needed to give you each the full growth of what you seek.
Oh, Vishnu, my brother has asked if you could say anything for the Columbus, Ohio group.
That there is only a more fuller meaning or more way of expression for that group, and to gradually give it more forcefulness, rather than to sit in the doubts and misgivings from the reflections of a material world.
Vishnu, can you tell me about my relationship with Michael?
It was a fullness of purpose in one lifetime, where you were helped within a different mode or way of living, and that there was a moment when there was a relationship of the physical within the confines of the full spiritual values that are now encompassed in each other. Gradually this shall have a happening within your own spirit, and thus give you a fuller meaning of your life.
After a long period of being admonished to patience and waiting, Vishnu, is it now time to seek the channels of the mass media for communication, as I've been told?
It is wise and well, for the time is now, to give full expression and not allow the rejection of your thought to defeat the purpose to which you want to attain. For it is needed to meet the media or the full life of others around you, and no matter where it may take you, give it that full expression.
Vishnu, the religious orders within the Catholic Church, the present structures, should they be changed?
They should be changed the same as the structural institution of learning. For there is a defeat within all religion that they have not reached the apex or the full Krishna or Vishnu force. They dare not look beyond the ritual. They dare not seek the fullness of life. They dare not look into the beauty of the full meaning of all life, and thus come into a oneness with themselves. Yet again there will come a time when the churches will grow, will have a fuller expression and a truer expression and meaning of what religion is, the binding, the fastening together of all who seek a fuller understanding. But not to be blind, not to be deaf, but open wide that doorway of compassion, a fullness of expression, and thus know they live within the full realm of the word you know as love.
Vishnu, where do ideas originate and how do they enter the mind?
Each person is constantly being bombarded with vibrational forces from past lives, from the very vibratory immutable laws of all life, And these ideas and expressions come on into that person who is capable of giving them a full meaning. To give an idea is to be inspired, and to be inspired is to give to the world that idea of inspiration, so that through it may come a better way of living within the material as well as the spiritual, but to allow each to be a full balance and not be defeated by over-challenging one way, which is doubt and misgiving within that fullness of life.
Vishnu, when I was in minor seminary in the early days, the intense feeling of a personal relationship with Christ, was that genuine or not?
That was a full, genuine expression of the Spirit, but it was also capped with the doubt of misunderstanding and the right way or approach to the Christ consciousness. For it is defeat when you limit yourselves to liturgies or limit yourself to the word or the book. It is to find a fuller expression and to ask, for Jesus is among you constantly, even at this moment. That face of love shines out in all its full compassion.
Bishop, is my mother going to help me with my spiritual work?
Gradually there will be a fuller meaning to this condition, but it is not right at the present time.
Vishnu, foremost in the minds of many priests, should they be allowed to get married or not?
There should be a full expression to all life, whether it is marriage, whether it is not marriage, whether it is a spiritual balance, a full communion between two life forces. The defeat that lies within all of this media is not giving a fuller expression to life, and to place limitations upon the spirit is the defeat of your full growth.
Usually there's some expansion going on in Hartford in the new places. I was wondering if you could give some advice on that.
There will be heavier changes that will express themselves within this way, and it is only for you to watch them and not look ahead upon them, but rather to live them when the moment is at hand.
Vishnu, how or when will my past experience and talents in performing arts like theater and circus play a role in my getting a fullness of expression by work with the Brotherhood?
It is only a moment of waiting within the material vibration until that moment comes when you are needed within the full mission of your life. For it has a place, a time, and yet it has not been fulfilled until the new frequency of all life is given expression within the universe.
Might we have, Vishnu, after this series, one full session on the education for the New Age, the children that are growing now?
It shall be so, for there is a great work ahead for each and every one of you. And it is through your full giving, not what I say to you, but what you as a person feel within yourself. I give you fully that guideline or that beacon of light that can give you a full way into what is needed to give a full expression to the law of perfection.
Vishnu, there's a group of students from St. Anselm's that want to gather into a community. Have asked me to be their director. Can you give me advice or any words as to the feasibility of entering into this project?
It would be good, it would be timely, and it would help you remove the doubts and misgivings of your life. For it is necessary for you within yourself to come into the fullness of life and to give it a fuller expression than you have at this present time. It is for you to reject and to be reborn again into the fullness of your belief, your spirit, your way, and not in what others may tell you or what others may do. This is your decision, but will bring forth a release that you have not known within this life.
Vishnu, last night the word Zenobia came into my mind, seemingly quite significant. I wonder what the meaning of this was, this person.
This is a fullness of expression that will come into you where it will be used in a future way that will mean more to what you are doing, not only in a physical way, but in a spiritual way as well.
Vishnu, could you speak further on the expression of beauty?
The expression of beauty is that moment when you look within all nature, within all spirit, and with all love, with all compassion, and hold that constant attitude in your every breath that you draw. For it is to become negative when you assume a position or a thought where you do not see the miracles that are constantly around you and within you. For it truly is a miracle that you draw within your body the full God breath that gives you the animation necessary to give growth to that spirit. Of years ago,